Spirits alive. All I was brought up in this world to know is lost when a demon swallows them whole. There's others here with us. There's others here with us, I know. Strange how your mind works when love is in power. One learns to care and appreciate a flower. One learns that others want to change your mind. All the things I've seen, all the things life is so simple. Oh, there's others here with us. Oh, there's others here with us, I know.
Hey, you guys, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to The Parlor, hosted by me, Lorelei. And tonight I have a very special guest. As you can see, my beautiful friend, she's this way, the amazing Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher. Cheryl Ann is a renowned psychic medium, TV and radio personality. She's bachelored in criminal justice, and she's also a life coach. Welcome, my dear friend. How are you?
You know what, Lorelei? It's always a pleasure to be here with you, and I am doing fabulous.
Good. I've missed you so much. I miss everybody. And I said, I got to get Cheryl on here ASAP, of course. Because it's how it goes. Yeah. So, and, I'm sure, and everybody, always asks, what are you up to, Cheryl? Cheryl, you're always have something amazing and fascinating going on, either with working with, for you guys that don't know, Cheryl also works with local police departments on finding missing people. Not always, in a happy ending, and she deals with that regularly. Her list is like this. This is Cheryl, what she's doing every day. So what's going on right now, Cheryl? Anything
exciting?
Yeah.
Well, let's get to that because I'm really super excited to share what's coming down the line.
Awesome.
In August, I had this huge event about 2 years ago here in Lincoln, and I'm the only one that owns the rights to the Lincoln Midwest Paranormal Conference.
Right.
So 2 years ago, I had this big old event, and I invited Jeff Mudgett, Tommy Bowl, and I had Josh Hurd, and Tara was here from Texas, and we did a great job. We had a lot of fun. Well, it's been too long. So this August, my plan is I've already spoken to Dar Dixon. Dar Dixon is a really good friend of mine. He is the director and producer of NCIS Criminal Minds. I have spoke to him about possibly coming in August, and we did a Zoom chat. We've always been talking and everything, but it was the very first time I got to see him on camera, and that was a scream. He is such a scream, but
wow.
The whole genre will be for the paranormal and also the film industry. And of course, I invited Mr. Jeff Mudgett.
Yeah.
And he's kind of thought about, well, maybe Kim Estes might come too.
We love Kim.
He is an amazing man. He's red carpet, and also, what is it? He got the Grammy.
Yeah. No, he got an Emmy.
Emmy. Yeah. Thank you for his TV show. And so Jeff was so kind and said, well, maybe we can, get him to come along too, because I have been wanting to meet him forever and a day since I realized by Jeff's post that he knew him. And I'm like, oh, I got it.
They're best friends. Yeah.
And then I came up with another idea, and I said, well, you know me, I'm always looking for something. Oh, yeah. Well, so then I thought, what about Thomas Bucco?
Nice.
So Thomas is the one who wrote the book Beyond the Veil.
Yeah.
So he's a physicist. He's also psychic. He is big when it comes to the Nobel Prize type stuff. He's worked with other physicists in the realm of being psychic and what the energy, how we get the energy, how we are able to see in the mind's eye. I mean, this man's incredible.
I love that. Yeah. You know me with the scientific end, when you can
I
talk
know,
about
right?
the Tesla energy, all that, that's when I get excited,
Right.
Yeah. So
So,
when are you going to have this, do you think?
well, I'm considering the first weekend in August, and this will allot me a lot of time to get it all together because the last one I had, it took me about 6 months.
Yeah.
By the time I got a hold of all the media sources, got people invited, found the location, and I do it all myself. Nobody helps me. I do it all.
Preach on, sister.
Right on.
I know.
High five it, girly.
I know that all too well. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
yeah, definitely.
yeah.
So, by the time people think, oh, you could just throw a conference together, in a couple of weeks or a month. Oh no, you got to start like you're planning a wedding, like 6 months
Yeah.
to a year.
Exactly. Yeah. And then to make sure everything, and then at the last minute, you just pray to make sure it all goes smoothly. I mean, you just got to let it go to the universe and be like, yeah, well, hopefully everybody shows up, does what they're supposed to do, and
Right.
it's chaos. You know what I mean? I know when I used to do Scarefest, the last one me and Keith Ramsey did, 2016, the last Scarefest we did when Patty Starr still owned it. And I used to give her, this, just like you, it was like, I'd see her and I'd go, Patty, I don't know how you do it, but I'd be beyond exhausted. Like, how did she puts this together in a massive scale like this? I mean, I can't even imagine, so you doing this is unbelievable. It's so awesome that you do this, and you're the one doing it,
Well, how I plan it so people know is I have a big white marker board, and I honest to God, start with the obvious, which would be the guests. I find out what their needs are. I accommodate that, you know what I mean? Everything that they need, it is just like Johnny on the spot. I'm on it. And then I not only set up their hotel accommodations, I make sure their flights are booked, and yeah.
It's a lot.
And then wow. And then the next step is to find the location where I know that the people that are coming on board are going to be comfortable with their surroundings.
Yeah.
And when you have mixed personalities, you got to look for that location.
Yeah.
That when a person walks up on stage and they start to guest speak, that they're comfortable with their surrounding. Otherwise, it just,
Right. It's done.
And then, and then I moved to media and I reach out to all the outlets locally and abroad as far as I can. And then, of course, land media coverages and radio times and things of that nature. And then, of course, I go even further. And then I go into the Journal Star, Lincoln Journal Star. I go to the newspapers. And then when they come in, I already have their interviews set up with our local TV. Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, it's a lot, you know what I mean? And, I know you get exhausted. I remember the last time you had it, you were just nonstop. I don't think you slept, and
it took, after everybody left, the conference, and Tommy flew out and Jeff flew out, and, I had people, geared to make sure all these things went down correctly, like people picking up, going to the airport, and everybody. Once it was all said and done, Lorelei, I sat in my house and said, did I really just do
that? It's a blur. Yeah. I mean,
it's like when you're starving and you sit down to eat well, my favorite place is Red Lobster. So when I get that big old ultimate plate, I look at it and I know it's there. But when I plow through it and I'm done with that, I'm like,
did I just do that? Yeah. I just ate it all. Yeah. It's like I said, for just being a guest, I've been a guest at a lot of them, especially, the horror cons and all this. Yeah. And just being a guest is exhausting. That's why I always said people that put these together, or that, that run them, that are, I don't know how you guys do it. I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Like you remember a few years back, everybody was trying to convince me to set up one for Chicago, because
Yeah.
Chicago doesn't have a paranormal or a supernatural conference. We don't. And it still blows my mind. We're the third biggest city in the nation, and we don't do one here.
Yeah.
And you remember that. And I was like, I can't do that. Like, I'll be a part of it if somebody else respectable wants to do it, that is good, and that, will represent Chicago well, and that will do it justice. And I totally would be their assistant, but running it, I mean, no, like I said, it's so much. Like you said, it's like putting a wedding together times 100,
Yeah. And the stress level for the
Yeah.
person who is doing the actual planning and getting it all together, may it be one person or 10.
Right.
We're all, people, like when you're investigating, everybody's got their place, their spot, their place,
their job. Right.
And it's not so chaotic when you have absolute clear understanding of where you belong and what your job is to do to make that all come together. But let me just tell you, there was only 2 people that helped me along during that whole time. And those 2 people were incredible at that time. And then I spoke with all the guests, of course, afterwards to see how they felt and did that follow up. And, are you good with what happened? What do you think was a part of the conference that could have been improved?
Right.
I do that social networking and go back and ask to make sure people are happy, because, it's like anything, you got to make sure your people are happy, so that if you call them up one day and say, hey, I got something for you, and they're like, oh, we want to do
it. Right. Yeah. I'm in. Right. When they have a good experience, they're going to want to come back. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's a successful event, and no matter what you're doing, and, like I said, I wish I could have went when you had it. Like I said, obviously for me, it sucks. For those that don't know, I have epilepsy, I can't drive anymore, which I'm very glad about. I don't mind. I don't want to kill a family of 6 because I have a seizure behind the wheel. So, and, that's the hard part for me. And I can't fly either, so with all of this, so it's like, it sucks. I'm so limited. I'm road trips and I love them, but I can't drive. So it's like, I have to get somebody. I said, I need to win the lottery, Cheryl, so I can get a driver and a limo that could take me wherever I want to go, because I could sit in a car for 24 hours. I don't mind, that's what I
tell
do.
you what, if I win that, I'll make sure you have it,
Thank
Lorelei.
you,
Not
my
a
friend.
problem.
That's all I need. And not even not even a stretch limo, like a Lincoln Town Car, a purple Lincoln Town Car would be fine.
You know what? That is, let me tell you, oh my God, you are not going to believe this.
What?
I have wanted that same car, but not purple. I've always wanted one that's black with dark tinted windows.
Yeah, a Lincoln Town Car. That's like the ultimate, like, who's in that car? Like, it's a mini limo. Yeah, mini limos.
Right.
Or a purple hearse. I'm not picky, whatever. It's got to be purple, though. Doesn't matter.
I tell you what, I'll drive and you can lay in the back and hang out and eat your popcorn and watch it like a DVD movie.
You know me, smoke my cigarettes. I'll lay in the back. It'll be fantastic.
Here, you want to smoke? Here, hold on.
Yeah, blaring like Prince, we'll be fine. But
exactly.
This is me and Cheryl, you guys. This is what happens. But I wanted to ask you: are you working on any cases right now with the police or anything like that, or missing persons?
I'm hoping that Trace will come in. Tracy. Long story short, Scottsbluff, Gearing, Nebraska. They're like literally divided by a street. So 2 towns. Gearing and Scottsbluff. I started a case about a year ago when a gentleman by the name of Chance came up missing. And Tori, a good friend of mine on Facebook, reached out to me and said, hey, can you help this family? They've got this, this young man missing. And so she made sure I got in touch with the mother-in-law and the wife. And I met with them a year ago. And this is so crazy. When we started, they had search teams, dog teams, you name it, looking for, Chance for, oh my God, months until winter hit. And then, of course, nobody could really search because of the cold. And then in the summer, of course, there's rattlesnakes galore. Yeah. So I've been working on that with Tracy and for Bailey. And let me tell you something. I'm doing it for Chance. Or not Chance, but for Baby Banks. Baby Banks is their son. And he, at the time, I think was only 6 months old. And so his dad comes up missing. So when I finally got to meet Bailey on a live chat about her husband missing,
Yeah.
little Banks, was in her arms, and I kept reading him, knowing that he not only while she was holding him, was staring off into the distance, and I'm reading him, and I'm going, he's actually wondering right now where his dad is.
Yeah.
And he hadn't seen his dad at that time for I think 2 or 3 weeks.
Right.
And so I connected with that child more than anything.
Good. Yeah.
For him. And so anyway, we're working on it now. Tracy, the mother-in-law of, or not the mother-in-law, but Bailey's mom, she and I have grown really close because I've, oh my gosh, from Lincoln to Gearing and Scotts Bluff is like almost 8 hours.
Right.
So one time I went up there, and then I, was there a couple of days, and they put me up. People put me up because they know what I'm doing there.
Right.
And so we had a nice hotel, and we walked, and I kept seeing him on certain numbered areas, and Tracy got a map, so we could figure out dimensions and where he would be. And by the time the winter set in, I'm going, I know where he is.
Right. Right.
He's buried. He was actually captured by crackheads underneath of a bridge in Gearing, Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
He had wandered off because him and Bailey did get into a little bit of a spat, and it's all on a video, from a house camera of her grandmother's. So the point that I'm making, point that I'm making is probably next month I'll be going back up to Scotts Bluff, because when I left there the last time, holy guacamole.
Yeah.
I'm out walking in this field where this guy has a big machinery, and he let me onto the property, and I'm out there, Lorelei, and I'm walking this field, and here's a fence line, and here's this big old tree, and all of a sudden I look up, and I, because I talked to my Lord, and I said, show to me a big bird if I'm in the right area.
Right.
30 seconds later, I'm standing there by a wired post, and I look up, and this huge owl came flying.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, came flying and landed on the tree that I'm staring at, and I said, holy cow, I do. So then I turn around, and I start to walk back to the car because it was starting to rain, and I come across a mound of dirt, Lorelei, that was shaped as a goddamn body. Excuse me.
No, you could swear on here.
Okay.
I have freedom of speech. You know me.
Okay, well, so I'm looking at this figured mountain of dirt, and it's shaped like a person would be laying on their side, kind of cradled.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh no. Oh, and I got sick. I got really, well, you know how it is for me. I get really sick when I know what's going on like that. And so I went and got a shovel, and I tried to shovel, but guess what? The ground was too hard. I couldn't get in there. So I notified Trace.
Right.
And told her where to look for this. But by then it was snowing. So now
they have to wait. Yeah. The ground is frozen. Yeah. For a lot of people that don't know, this isn't a new thing. Like, since everybody came out of the proverbial paranormal closet, I tell a lot of people don't know this. If you read like a lot of the John Wayne Gacy books by the lawyers and the cops and stuff, the cops, one of the police officers wrote a book that was part of the Delta Force, and it came out, and he admitted in his book that they were using a psychic medium on the Gacy case, and she's actually the one that found 2 of the boys in the river, Robert Peast being one of them. She's the one. The cops didn't find those 2, the last 2. It was a psychic medium did. And they full out now admit it. They talk about it. They're like, look, we're going to tell the truth. We can't credit finding those 2 boys. It was our psychic medium. And, you know, this has been going on for a really long time, you guys. It's just back in the 70s, the cops, they, you know, when they'd get desperate enough, they'd do it, and they didn't talk about it. You know, it was one of those things like, we're not going to say that this, you know, but now that they know they can come forward and say, hey, yeah, we did. And they're not going to get guff for it or be made fun of, you know, that this is legitimate, you know. And if I'm trying to think of, it was one of the police officers, and my mind is blank right now. Don't ask me why. You know me, I know this story like the back of my hand. When I think about it, I'll let everybody know, but it's in his book that, you know, he actually passed away not too many years ago. He was the head guy on the case. So what Cheryl's doing is not, you know, oh, because the, you know, the paranormal's cool now and it's out. No, you know, this police departments have been using psychic mediums for decades, and, you know, and with massive results. And Cheryl's track record is unbelievable. You know, I always talk to Cheryl about cases she's worked on, and her success rate is unbelievable, you know. And that's why, you know, whenever you've got a case, I'm like, all right, what have you got going on now? Like, what do you, you know, who are you working on? You know, and, you know, and me and Cheryl have that one thing in common, you know, besides the paranormal and the supernatural. I've got my master's in forensic criminal psychology. She's bachelored in criminal justice. So we both ride that fence of, you know, the paranormal and true crime, you know, in our lives. And I saw that too, Cheryl, that you were, you've been doing some investigations, or you did recently some big places with a bunch of people. I saw that you were posting stuff. Where was that at?
Well, the recent one was actually in Nebraska City.
Okay.
This was so cool. It's a bed and breakfast, and it's in Nebraska City, Nebraska. Okay, and I had stayed there with family by accident. We had booked the room, a really nice room for Thanksgiving one year, and it was with the Lead Center. The Lead Center, like the room's like $200-300 a night. So it was very expensive, very luxury, very wonderful. And I had booked it. I even had a confirmation number, and we got down there, and guess what? They had overbooked. So by rights, they did the correct thing, and they put us in a bed and breakfast. When I started driving up the drive, I sat back, and at the time when I was with Mark, I sat back and I was like, holy buckets, this place is haunted.
Wow.
And Mark's like, well, you know, Mark's known me for, oh my God, 32 years.
Yeah.
And then he sat there and he goes, you think? I said, oh no, here we go. We spent the night. Mark's keys kept coming up missing. We kept having things moved. We heard sound. We had everything. Paranormal. Told Gina, the owner, the next day. She's like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. It freaked me out. I said, well, you know, ma'am, I'm sorry, but
you know,
a beautiful location that's totally freaking haunted.
Right.
You should let me have a conference here or an investigation.
Right.
And in fact, I'm kind of considering that.
You should, Cheryl, do like a small event, you know, just, you know, like, you know, or try to get on staff, like where weekly they, you know, have something with you there, you know, that.
And, you know, I'm actually going to go that direction where I can go in and do reads, you know, and talk about the location. But anyway, so we stayed overnight. We went and found that Gina had another guest that stayed that was also a paranormal investigator. And ironically, he came up the same day and said, you know, this place is really haunted. And she's like,
like, I don't want to know.
Poor Gina, you know, she's a beautiful chef and she does everything herself. And she's like, I don't want this place to be known as a haunted location.
It's like, too late.
Like, I already know.
Right. Cat's out of the bag now. Yeah.
So she allowed me to be the only one to hold investigations there. So basically, she and I are tight, and she's even told the team that we took in last time, which was Para Tara, Lisa Ludwig, Michelle,
LeBaron, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
She went to,
All
and
the
then we had,
girls. Yeah.
then we had poor Keith, Ottersberg. He was hanging out with 3 women.
But Keith's good like that. Yeah, he'll
I
just goes along with it. He's like, I don't care. Yeah.
He's like, well, I know him.
Right.
And let me tell you, I know what's going on. He's just listening and learning because he
Yeah.
can't.
Observing.
So
Yeah.
we went and did that. Keith set up I mean to tell you, in all the years I've investigated, I've
Yeah.
seen some command stations. Keith had what I would call probably the best I'd seen.
Right.
He ran it, set it up. We investigated that night. We got some shit. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We all witnessed, and we have it on film, where Tara and all of us, and and Josh was there too the time before, but we all actually watched a towel in the bathroom. And we're sitting on the bed in this room, and we're looking right into the bathroom. And I said, something's going to happen. Watch out. Something's going to happen. And boom, just like that, the towel lifted up off of the rod it
Yeah.
was on and fell. And
Wow.
everybody saw it. We not only captured growling, we also captured a black mist darkness that had actually walked from the bedroom that connected. Okay, there was a bedroom, bathroom, and another bedroom in the basement. We
Right.
actually have it on film, that mass going through there, and it is the bomb to haunt, or to go to a haunting to,
Yeah.
and investigate. So that I'm considering as the location, because Gina is amazing. She's chef. You get your dinner and your breakfast the next day at this place, and the rooms are very luxurious and
Wow.
amazing, amazing. And sometime you ought to look it up, Lorelei. It's called the Whispering Pines Bed and Breakfast in
Okay.
Nebraska City.
Hey, you guys, there you go too. If you're in Nebraska City, look it up, spend
Yeah.
the night, see what happens to you, see what you can experience. And, and you know me, I love passing the word along. Absolutely. It's like, it's
But
been, go ahead, hon.
they can't tell Gina.
You can't
She'll
tell
freak
Gina
out
that,
so bad. Oh my
don't,
God.
don't tell Gina that Cheryl sent you.
Exactly. So
Quiet. Yeah.
I'll be
Say
she'll
nothing.
count, I'm
Yeah.
done.
Yeah. Say nothing. When you're carrying
Right.
in your equipment, just be like,
Yeah.
I'm a computer salesman. Yes, this is what I do. I'm on the road. Yeah, do they do that anymore? I don't even know if they have like traveling salesmen. I'm old. I have no clue.
You guys, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be, and it's it. It's like I've been, like a lot of people, I've been stuck in the house for over a year. Now I'm going out again, and I still, like last year, I was supposed to stay at the Congress, one
Yeah.
night. And for those that don't know, Cheryl knows about the Congress in Chicago. That's H.H. Holmes' old stomping grounds. And they think that's where Holmes was getting a lot of his victims from. And Al Capone was there all the time. He was rum running over there. And it's what's considered by the majority of the public is that it's the most haunted location in Chicago.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're talking Chicago, so the most is a pretty big thing. And I used to stay there when I was young all the time. We'd go there and party, and we never thought about anything. But like you, I'd like to do that sometime this summer and go live from the Congress and do something, because I'm going crazy.
Go. I'm coming. I gotta go.
Yeah, you should.
You and I should go live there. That would be a stream.
Yeah. Get Mudget, he'll come, because
get in here.
Yeah, we'll put the whole crew together. We'll get rooms at the Congress and say, yeah, let's do the connecting rooms and say, let's roll it. I think it's I forgot.
Is Jeff in here? Is Jeff even in here?
I don't know. Jeff Mudget, are you in the room? Say hello if you are. He probably is. I think he is. But yeah, I mean, if we all went there and did that, I mean, it would be amazing, absolutely. And and we'll go over to the Murder Castle location, of course, in Englewood. We've got to stop by there. And check things out like we always do. So, but yeah, I'm going to try to get to Nebraska. Like I said, there's so many events going on. There's there's a Paracon in Iowa, which is only like 5 hours from me. So, yeah. Are you going?
You need to go. I'm going to go up there. I'm going up there to see Michelle.
Everybody's trying to get me to go. They're like, Lord, you have to. It's only 5 hours from Chicago. I'm like, I know. I got to find somebody that wants to go with me, that would want to drive. And I do want to go, you know, and Wanda Mudgett is in the chat, which is Jeff's cousin and cousins of H.H. Holmes. And she said, I want to come too. Absolutely. All the Mudgetts are invited.
Oh
Absolutely.
my God, that would be such a treat. We need to do it.
Yeah. Get all the Mudgetts together. We'll do a Mudgett family reunion at the Congress. There you go. That's it. It's on. You know, I'm an honorary Mudgett, you know, so is Cheryl. We can be there, you know. Oh my God, that would be fantastic. Yeah. So, and what I saw, there was another investigation on your page that you guys did. I think you were with Michelle and with Tara. I think it was another one.
Well, okay, let's go there. That besides, you know, we did that as well at the Nebraska City Whispering Pines. But when they were back visiting me and Tara and Michelle and Lisa, I happen to be living in Garland, Nebraska, which is literally 30 minutes west of Lincoln, Nebraska, in the farmhouse that I lived in. Oh my God. So the reason I asked them down and Tara to come along is that I had been telling Tara all this time, you know, how haunted this place was. When I took it over and I rented this place from my friend Russell. My first experience there was pretty crazy. I happened to be bent over plugging my phone, you know, into the jack.
Yeah.
Or I mean into the wire. And I was bending over to plug it into the wall, but I had not met the wall yet. And something which I can only imagine in my head coming from the back went down both sides of my back, and it felt like I want to say round knobs went straight down my back, right over my buttocks, down past my back of my knees, and it went right back up again. But in the course of this time, everything around me was like rippled, like a drop of water into water.
Yeah.
Everything was rippled around me. After talking to Thomas Fugo about that, because he's an expert literally in this, and if you guys don't believe me, go get Beyond the Veil, his book, you'll get it. When I talked to him about that experience, he said at that personal moment for you, the energy was so thick in that home that I had actually gone to a different dimension, split second like. Whoa. And also, holy moly, I knew at that point in my life that this place was going to be a scream to live in for 2 years until I graduated with my criminal justice degree.
Yeah.
Well, how about this one? I'm sleeping and all of a sudden I find myself in the middle of a cornfield with my, my summer pajamas on, and I have no idea why.
UFO related?
That's the stuff that happened after the probing is what I call it.
Yeah.
And then not too far down the road after that happened, well, then of course everybody came in and investigated because of these stories. And I actually went out at 3:10 in the morning because I heard the cows lived back behind the house, and
right. I
heard all this commotion, and I thought, oh my God, watch this be a UFO destroying a cow. Because you could hear the moans and you could hear things like,
yeah.
What the hell? And I opened my back door and I'm like, okay, I get my phone, yeah. And I'm panoramic shooting photos. And just as I get that camera, just like this, and I'm shooting straight out at the cows, in my phone camera is an alien standing 3 freaking feet in front of my face.
No.
And I caught it. I have the picture. People have seen it, the Smithsonian or whatever. Yeah. I have been told to send it to them. I'm terrified to even send that picture anywhere. for fear somebody's going to come and want to visit me.
Yeah. Yeah. The Men in Black. Yeah.
So I do run to it, and it is in a lockbox somewhere other than where I live. And I've only shown it to 2 people, and those 2 people said straight up, yeah, that's definitely nothing that belongs here.
Yeah. And
And
Cheryl, you're smart. Don't.
And when that happened, I fell back onto my buttocks and I screamed. I picked up my phone because I dropped it and I knew it was right there. So I get up and I go in the house. I shut and lock the door like that's really going to matter.
Yeah, it doesn't. No.
And I'm on the phone calling for help, people coming, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm out. Oh my God. And then we would always see UFOs over that house. So that's what brought Michelle, Lisa, Tara,
Everybody.
and my together.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what, Michelle, on that. See, I don't use equipment, but
Yeah.
'cause I
You don't need to.
right?
You are
So
equipment.
What's that one equipment where you turn it on? It's got all those little stick people when they show up on the.
The SLS camera.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Michelle was just tripping. We were in the upstairs because I didn't rent the upstairs, but we could get to it. So we're up there doing an investigation, and Michelle points it at the doorway, and we caught a beautiful 6-figure, and he went by command. We asked it to raise the arm for validations, and she asked it to move the leg, and you could see it clearly. And then the other cool thing was Jenna Fricky, a good friend of mine, who is used to be part of the Melbourne Manor with Josh. Okay, so she came to stay the night. Well, a bunch of people did for a party, and we got up the next morning. Well, first, let me back up. I'm laying in the bed, and there is a doorway that goes to the next room, which is where she was sleeping, and then the stairway that went upstairs. Well, I'm laying there talking to her, and all of a sudden I said, get ready. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, just get freaking ready. And just as I said that, the picture that was above my head, heavy picture, flew off the wall and clocked me in the head and landed and flipped and landed back behind my bed.
Yeah.
Jenny came running in and she's like, what the hell just happened? I said, I'm not looking. You look, you're my witness. You go and make sure that nail didn't come out.
Right.
Or, debunking.
Right.
You look and tell me what the hell just happened.
Right.
And she goes right above my head. She stands on my bed. And my bed at the time, I like sleeping on the floor. My mattress is box.
Right.
I don't have frame. I don't do that. So anyway, she gets on the bed. She's walking around me, and she gets up to the wall. And she's feeling the wall, and the nail is a screw. One of those yellow ones that are really long.
So it had to lift to come off. Yeah.
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 And then after we discovered what happened, which was it was all paranormal, and I knew it was coming.
Right.
The next morning, we're hanging out, and I'm making breakfast for her, and she says, Cheryl, let's go back up real quick and do some pictures, blah blah blah, upstairs. And I said, okay. So you got to understand that Russell put a big piece of plywood in the stairway, and then it had handles on it, but it was screwed in, right?
Yeah.
So you had to unscrew the screws and then grab the handle, go like this, and move the big plywood because it cut off the stairway.
Right.
And Jenna gets up on 2 steps, and she's doing this, screwing up top. And she's about to fall, so I'm like leaning into her so she could get these top screws. And oh my God. Out of nowhere, Lorelai, on my phone, plays the what is that song for Ghost? Unchanging Lover.
Unchained Melody.
Thank you. Yeah. So that starts playing.
Yeah.
And Jenna looks down at me, and
I'd be like, okay, yeah.
Obvious. I have her go look at my phone.
It'd give you the chills.
To the history.
Yeah.
Tell her how to get to history. And I said, you tell me, when was the last time I was on YouTube to play that song? Because it was playing on YouTube.
Right.
And she looks into my history, and I didn't do it. She looked and she said, "Well, yeah, it's been about 3 months."
See, and with these alien, now with the alien you saw,
Yeah.
are they, when you had all that happen, did you get any communication from them psychically?
What happened was when I looked him in the eyes, we were
Mhm.
eye to eye through the lens of my camera. I
Right.
instantly got a headache, and I know that okay, look, I'll show this picture, but it's on my phone, but I'll post it on this later. The left side of his face, you can see the thickness of the skull. The eye is protruding outwardly.
Okay.
The nose is partial, but down here on the chin, it is like I want to say like thicker than a strong jawed man. So it's really super thick.
Wow.
But then on the right side, you can barely see it, but then there's like this Lorelei. There's something white here.
Okay. So
And
it didn't look
everything-
like a gray. It wasn't like a typical gray alien.
Oh, hell no. This
No.
is an alien. This is. I've had it looked at. It is. And I'm
Right.
like, really? Did that happen? But the point is it had this white, I want to say light coming
Oh.
out of this area.
Okay.
And when I saw that through my lens, I was like, I was blinded, and all of a sudden, instant, it was like an instant headache.
Right.
But the magnitude, I don't know what hit me, but it knocked me on my ass, and I sat there and went, holy shit, and there it is. I get up, grab my camera or my phone, and I went back in the house.
Right. So he didn't try to communicate with you at all then?
No,
Telepathically?
Well, no, Lorelei, because why? They don't want me to know they were out there.
Yeah.
And guess what? 2 weeks before that, they had a calf that was mutilated.
Mutilated?
And you know what? The vet said it was not by an animal.
No. They know right away. I mean, those mutilations, you see them
Mm.
all over the world. It's surgical precision. It is cauterized at the wound site, which you can't do with just a regular knife, even if you are a butcher or a surgeon, unless you're cauterizing at the same time, because the wounds are cauterized, it's burnt.
Yeah.
I've seen hundreds upon hundreds of photos from that, animal mutilations, and to study them. And you can tell, I mean, this is not the work of pranksters or serial killers, or, when a serial killer or they call it, which is politically incorrect, but I'll just say a satanic group or a whatever gets a
Right.
hold of an animal, it's just mutilated and butchered. When
Mhm.
you've got animal mutilations from UFO, alien, etc.,
Mhm.
you know it when you see it. And usually there's no blood. The blood's gone.
Yeah.
That's usually a sign too. It's like there's no blood left in the animal, or it's so cauterized that it coagulates like that.
Yeah.
It's
And when they found it, there was absolutely nothing in the soil.
yeah. See, that's right.
Nothing.
It's weird. It's like, and that always boggled my mind. It's like, okay, I can kind of understand the mutilation, like they're experimenting. It's biology. They're looking right.
Yep.
But why is the blood gone? What do they want a cow's blood for? Or a
Can I just
calf?
tell you why?
Yeah.
In my theories and my thoughts on the whole subject is, well, people think, well, that we are being cloned.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm going with it.
Right. I mean, I thought that too. I'm like, but wouldn't they they're so advanced, they could just take a tissue sample, but it's like they always take all the blood out of that animal.
Mhm.
It's like, and it's always with the eye area. Sorry, guys, this does get graphic. That is my show.
Right.
It's eyes too. They're obsessed with the eyes, all the time. And I can get metaphorical with that, of course, the eyes, the window to the soul type of thing, for all creatures, I believe, that's, but yeah. And you're not the only one that said no communication. I've spoken to other friends that are psychic mediums that have had, they were like you. They were paranormal based, I call it, where they're psychic, they're a medium, they deal with dead humans, spirits. anything else. And when they've all are suddenly getting this activity with alien UFO is now coming into play. And they've all
Right.
said the same thing. I'm like, did it commute? They're like, no communication. They all like you. I got this blazing headache, they said. And it was like they just shut the door. Like,
Well,
boom.
to me, it felt like I was blocked. Like
Yeah.
it was so. I mean, that impact that I felt, it felt like a Mack truck hit me and broadsided me. I
Yeah.
can't even explain the force that went behind that. And when people have asked me about that, they're like, "Well, can you describe it?" And I said, "Well, imagine taking off on an airplane times 5. You know
Yeah.
that feeling when you're going up? It's like,
Yeah, you do that pressure. Oh, real quick, not to stop you, Cheryl, but Sherry wanted to know, did Big Brother ever get involved with either of you? Meaning me or you? Have we ever had a Big Brother experience, meaning Men in Black, CIA at the door, phone calls?
Miss Sherry, I love you so much. And yeah. In fact, happened about give or take 7, 8 years ago. So I can't be perfect with timing here because I
Right.
do remember it. I was coming home and I had the worst. Well, you know me. Sherry knows me. I had the worst feeling I was being followed.
Oh, yeah.
This has happened a lot with me, but this one scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm driving, and I keep looking up, and I'm like, okay, I'm very observant with what's going on around me all the time.
Yeah.
So the minute I saw that this particular car had pulled out from a corner, and I noticed it immediately, it felt too off, and it followed me for exactly 1 mile.
Yeah.
To honest God, there was like a quick store, 7-Eleven. I can't remember what the hell it was, but
Yeah.
smart people that are being followed know that they're being followed. They will go into a place, obviously.
A public place. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm just going to pull in here and get myself something to drink. So I get out of the car and I go in, and 2 men, they were in a darker suit, had been following me, and I pretended like I never knew.
Oh, you can pick them out. Yeah, you can pick them out. They look like, I call it, they look like cops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're somebody. Yeah. It's yeah.
When I was getting my stuff, of course, they were looking around, and I went ahead and got a coffee because I was traveling.
Yeah.
And guess what? When I was getting ready to walk by with my coffee, and they were standing back behind me by about 3 or 4 feet. I turned and looked at them, and I said, "Oh, by the way, I hate to tell you, but you know what? One of your headlights are out."
That's the way to. Cheryl, I did the same. Mine was because of my family. There's 2 separate situations with me. Unfortunately, not bragging, not proud in any way. My father's side of the family was all mob involved here in Chicago. My father was somebody that was not a good human being. And so I grew up always with FBI following and watching family members and things like that until I became who I became. And then I was, considered one of the good guys. But, had that since I was a kid. Family funerals, FBI sitting outside the church taking pictures of everybody that's walking in the door. So I was used to that, dealing with that part of my life. And nothing ever happened to me like you until when I sent that video of the UFO that I captured over my house in broad daylight 2-3 summers ago, whatever it was. It's online, guys. Everybody's seen it. And MUFON said, yes, it is absolutely a UFO. It is a craft. They gave me my number for my, report. They listed it. It's on their website. And I don't know, not too long after that, I was getting threatening phone calls.
Yep.
Nobody following me that I knew of. Now, maybe I just was so, because guys, you all know me. When I throw my aviators on and I'm walking around going shopping, I'm not paying attention. Yeah, I'm like, whatever. I look like this and I'm my Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah. So who knows? I can't say for sure or not, but I did get phone calls after that. And
Mm.
coming from blocked numbers and talking about that specific thing that I captured. Now, could it have been a prank? Absolutely. You know, I have no idea. But I'm just saying that that's all that I can say that happened as far as supernatural goes, you know. So, and you, Cheryl, any more times for you?
Actually, what has happened recently, which really blew my mind, I was actually on the phone with another friend that has a blog talk show, and we were talking, and I kept having dead space. And the minute I would bring up a certain subject and or a case and or aliens, my phone would go dead space. But I could hear the background of what she was doing, but I couldn't hear her.
Mhm.
So it was like it was muffled in the background, but I knew she was there. She was still on the phone, and I knew she was there. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, I'm like, you know, I say her name a couple of times. I'm like, you know, twice, 3 times. Finally, she comes back on. And I said, this is not the end of it. We're
No.
going to be going through this a couple more times.
They're tapping the phone lines. You can always tell when your phone is tapped. Oh yeah. I mean, I learned that, you know, going to college, criminal forensic psychology. I know what, you know, and I have friends in the ATF. And they tell me everything. I'm not going to say his name, but he's the guy that slips underneath your car in the middle of the night to put a tracking device on it. He's on your roof drilling holes to drop cameras into the bad guys' houses. He's a ghost is what they call him.
Right.
And, you know, he's checked my phones for me over the years. I'm like, I'm hearing this click, you know, is my phone tapped? You know, like, right. You know, you don't know, you know, and especially like I said, you know, too, it's not just the paranormal, the supernatural stuff, but both Cheryl and I deal in true crime, you know, and, you know, a lot of times it's not the FBI that, you know, they want your help and the cops want the help. You go a little higher, you get CIA level, and those guys, if you get a little too nosy or a little too deep in something that they don't want brought up when it comes to murder cases, serial killers, things like they listen, they're watching. You know, Big Brother is always watching in one form or another. Yeah.
Hey, Lorelei, you have to tell your story. I have had 4 people over the last 2 days ask me, how do you know Lorelei?
Oh, wasn't it through Jeff?
Yes.
Yeah, through Jeff Mudgett. I used to work for Jeff Mudgett. I was head of his research team for H.H. Holmes because I specialize, obviously, in serial killers when it comes to true crime profiling. So I was working on the Holmes case for a really long time. And me and Cheryl became friends because Cheryl was really good friends with Jeff Mudgett. And that's the link between me and Cheryl. That's what got us becoming friends was, you know, and I working so many hours for Jeff and with Jeff and having, you know, I'd bring Jeff on live, God, at least once a month back then when American Ripper came out. And I was always like, Jeff, you know, why don't you go on this show and do this? Or, you know, I try to tell him, he'd go, no, I'm not going on any live, but with you, let's do this. Let's do this. You know, I'm like, okay, let's do this. You know, I still have those on my hard drive. They're hilarious. But back then, but the problem, and now I'm like, you know, Jeff would never talk about the paranormal or the supernatural back then. He wouldn't anything, nothing. I couldn't say, Jeff, let me bring up about Holmes and you know, no, not going to talk about it. And then now he's all for it. And I'm like, you effer, like really? Like, you know, I'm the one that made, you know, well, Dave Miller made the H.H. Holmes box for me. You know, I made the banks for it and Dave built, you know, the application.
The application of it, sure.
Yeah. And I still run it, you know, when I do live ITC sessions on here. And, you know, and that, by the way, the secret on that for everybody that wants to know after all these years, I'll tell the secret. Because the H.H. Holmes app was a big thing. You know, I always used it. People loved it. Everybody wanted it. It was never for sale. It was just made for me. And those banks, and there's only 3 people that know this, me, Dave Miller, of course, and the person I had to ask permission because they're like, well, what voice would you use to make an H.H. Holmes box? You know, there's no audio of Holmes. And I'm like, but there is of Jeff Budget. I'm like his great grandson. So I went on YouTube with Jeff's permission, and I took anytime Jeff was speaking about H.H. Holmes at a conference, and I grabbed all his audio, threw it in 8 banks, reversed it. Dave chopped it all up, so it's gobbledygook on the app, but it's Jeff's voice, and it's in different frequencies as well. Dave does his magic and made it where some is lower, and then he'd make Jeff's voice real high in another bank. So that's why the H.H. Holmes box works so well when connecting with Holmes's spirit.
Right.
It's Jeff's voice. He's using his own great-great-grandson's voice to speak through. So, but long story short, yeah, that's how me and Cheryl, met.
And what happened with you and I?
I don't remember. Tell me.
Remember how I did a reading on you and it blew you away?
Oh, yeah. For those that don't know, and I want to tell this before we go so that you guys know, and if anybody needs Cheryl, friend request her. If you need help, if you have a missing loved one, if you are anything that has to do with a missing people or anything kidnapping, contact Cheryl if you need help. And if she can't help you in your area, she'll get you help with someone that lives by you or near you. But I was engaged when I was 18 years old, and a lot of people know this story. And my fiance's name was Markian, and Markian died in a tragic accident in 1994. And it was a very strange case. He was not on drugs. He was not drinking. It had nothing to do with him. And it was just strange things to the story that never made sense to me, that I wasn't satisfied with what the police told me and what they told his family. And Cheryl now knew nothing about me. Cheryl, nothing. And she video called me first time, and I had, I brought it up. I just said, look, I don't know, I don't like asking people, favors or anything like that. And immediately Cheryl told me, I'm not going to repeat it because it is personal, but what she told me, I immediately had tears streaming down my face, because there is no way in hell or God's heaven or anything else that Cheryl could have known what she said to me. My mother didn't even know this. And that was the moment immediately where it was like, Cheryl's real to me. It was there. No one in the world could tell me that she's a fraud or a fake or a phony, because verbatim what she said to me was something that Markian used to say to me, and it wasn't typical. It wasn't normal. It wasn't, it was mind-blowing, guys. So that's what I'm saying. If, friend request Cheryl and Elliot Fletcher, you guys can find her even on my page. And Cheryl, before we go, tell them about any of your life pages or your Paracon that you're going to have and all that stuff.
Okay, in August, the first weekend, get prepared. It's going to hit probably like the middle of June. You'll see it everywhere blowing up. It'll be a conference that's geared around the real industry of Hollywood, filmmaking, paranormal, and we might even have a wonderful guest that will bring in the alien part of it all. So
nice.
That's what we're coming up with.
Awesome. I love it. And guys, like I said, go give her a friend's request. Cheryl, you don't have any like pages, do you? You just have your page, right?
I have, I have Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher, and then they can look me up. Once they click on my name, it'll show 2 other pages, which is, basically my professional pages, psychic medium stuff. And I'm on Instagram too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Extraordinary Lyrics, or Cheryl Ann was lyrics. So if they want to know seriously, I'll actually plug it into the live feed a little bit later under.
There you go. Yeah, that's what we'll do. And Cheryl will put all her stuff in once we end the broadcast into the comment section. Like I said, you just Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher, you'll find her. Trust me. She's friends with all of us that are in the paranormal, supernatural, UFO communities. So, and yeah, Cheryl, thank you for coming on. Like I said, it's amazing to have you on and to be back and doing this. And I had to have you on very quickly. I'm like, of course, because Cheryl will be on again, guys. She's on a one-timer. It's like, Cheryl, do you want to come on? Yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah.
We got stuff to talk about, you know.
That's what we always do.
Exactly. That's why we were late tonight, you guys. I looked at the clock. It was 8:01. I'm like, oh shit, we're late. Like, Cheryl, hang on, because we were busy talking. We're like, oh, you know. All right, Cheryl, thank you, honey, for coming on. And yeah, keep us all informed. Guys, go watch her page. She's on there every day, and she'll let you guys know everything that's going on all the time. So, all right, Cheryl, thank you so much, honey. And I will talk to you later. Love you.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. Yes, that was the awesome Cheryl Ann Elliott Fletcher. She is one of the most sweetest and wonderful human beings. Like, and you know what? She's down. I can still see her in this broadcast, but you guys can't. She's sticking her tongue out at me. She's making faces to get me to laugh on live. She's going. But anyway, yeah, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. For those of you that don't know, I'm also live right now on YouTube as well. So if you'd like to watch it on YouTube, if that's easier, it's youtube.com/C/Nevermore Supernatural. Subscribe, click the notification bell. Every Thursday night is the Parlor live show. And now every Tuesday night, I will be live on here and on YouTube, on Facebook, and YouTube. I'll be doing live ITC sessions. And if you guys are wondering, what is that? Most of you would know it as ghost boxes or spirit boxes, but it's instrumental trance communication. I used to do this a lot years ago on Facebook Live, and it's amazing stuff. And I actually, tomorrow, I'll be receiving my new RTC box from Rob Hernandez. It's custom built for me. And I will be going live with that on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So every Tuesday night, live, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time with live ITC Tuesdays is what I'm calling it. And then every Thursday is live on the Parlor. And if you're interested in being a guest on the Parlor, just send me a message on my public page here. And yeah, we'll get that going. All right, guys, have a great weekend. Have a great night tonight. And thank you all for joining me. And I will see you guys Tuesday night for ITC Tuesdays. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.